Imagine sitting in a room with like your closest friends, and someone delivers just the absolute worst news you could possibly hear.
Oh, wow.
Like a completely devastating loss. Your whole world is just collapsing right there. And normally, you'd expect the world to stop with you.
Right, because that's how grief feels.
Exactly. But then the person delivering the news says, by the way, while you are agonizing over this, everyone outside this room is going to be throwing a massive party.
Oh, man.
Right. It's just absolute psychological whiplash.
It really is. I mean, it completely shatters the unspoken social contract we have around grief.
Yeah.
Usually, society makes space for mourning. We dim the lights. We offer condolences. We sort of validate the
We
pain.
bring casseroles.
Exactly. But this scenario is just completely denies all of that.
Well, welcome to today's deep dive. We are so glad you are joining us.
Yes, welcome.
Today, we are opening up a really profound, reflective piece of source material. It's titled A Promise of Joy, Understanding the Source of True Joy.
It's a fantastic text.
It really is. It's an exploration of a very intense conversation recorded in the ancient text of the Gospel of John, specifically chapter 16, verses 20 through 22.
Yeah, a really pivotal moment.
And my mission today, our mission really, is to take you through this text because it offers a radically different way to process the darkest moments of our lives.
Absolutely.
We're going to unpack how this ancient conversation about impending grief uses a very, unexpected metaphor.
Childbirth, of all things.
Right, childbirth. And it uses it to build a framework for finding a joy that literally cannot be taken away from you.
I mean, to really grasp the gravity of this, we have to look at the context the source provides right at the beginning.
Set the scene for us.
Okay, so Jesus is in a room with his disciples, and he is preparing them for his imminent departure. He's telling them, he is leaving and he will be killed.
Which is just, I can't even imagine.
Right. These are people who have abandoned their livelihoods, their reputations, literally everything to follow him.
Yeah, they gave it all up.
So you can imagine the emotional weight in that room. It's not just sadness. It is a profound, terrifying disorientation.
Okay, let's unpack this opening quote because the phrasing is just so striking.
Go for it.
I want to read the scripture directly from our source. Jesus looks at these terrified people and says, "Truly, truly, I say to you, you will weep and lament, but the world will rejoice. You will be sorrowful, but your sorrow will turn into joy."
It's heavy.
It is heavy. And when I first read that, I actually had to stop and push back a little.
Really? Why?
Well, it almost sounds, I don't know, unnecessarily harsh. Like, why would you tell someone who is already breaking down that their worst enemies are going to be celebrating their pain?
Right. Yeah.
Isn't that just rubbing salt in the wound? Like, why bring up the world rejoicing at all?
What's fascinating here is, well, it sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it?
Totally.
But psychologically, what he's doing is incredibly vital. He's not rubbing salt in the wound at all. He is validating the specific agonizing nature of the grief they are about to experience.
Okay, how so?
He's warning them about asymmetrical grief.
Asymmetrical grief. What does that mean in this context?
It means grieving in a vacuum. I mean, the deepest trauma often isn't just the loss itself. It's the feeling of being utterly alone in that loss.
Oh, wow. Yeah, the isolation.
Exactly. If you lose someone and the whole town mourns with you, there's a shared carrying of the burden.
Right. You're not crazy for being sad because everyone is sad.
Yes. But Jesus is telling them, your grief will be socially isolated. You won't have the comfort of a mourning world around you.
That is so dark.
It is. He's saying, you will be weeping while the cultural majority is actively cheering for the very thing that broke your heart.
Wow.
And by leaning into that paradox up front, he is ensuring they don't think they're going completely crazy when it actually happens.
He's naming the monster in the room so it doesn't completely destroy them when the lights go out?
Precisely. That is exactly it.
Yeah.
But because he's just set up this massive, almost unbearable tension, he can't just follow it up with a platitude.
Oh, definitely not.
Right. A simple hang in there, or time heals all wounds, is going to fall completely flat when your tragedy is the world's triumph.
Yeah, you just want to punch someone who said that to you.
Exactly. He needs a uniquely powerful framework to explain how they are going to survive this.
And that is where the text pivots from this abstract idea of worldly rejoicing into something intensely physical.
A metaphor.
Right. Jesus gives them an analogy to explain how their sorrow is actually going to operate.
Such a visceral image, too.
It really is. Let me read the next part of the passage from our source. It says, When a woman is giving birth, she has sorrow because her hour has come. But when she has delivered the baby, she no longer remembers the anguish for joy that a human being has been born into the world.
It's brilliant.
Now, our source text includes a reflection question asking how this childbirth metaphor helps us understand joy during trials.
Yeah.
And I want to pause here because if we aren't careful, this can sound a lot like modern toxic positivity.
Oh, absolutely. That's huge risk.
Right. You know the vibe. Someone goes through something awful, and people immediately say, well, everything happens for a reason.
Or look for the silver lining.
Yes, it can feel like we are just minimizing the actual suffering. So how is this childbirth metaphor different from just telling someone to, you know, slap a happy face on their trauma?
That is a phenomenal distinction to make, because toxic positivity demands that you ignore the pain or pretend the pain is actually a good thing.
Right, to smile through it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the childbirth metaphor does the exact opposite. It fully acknowledges that the agony is real. The text explicitly says she has sorrow and anguish.
It doesn't sugarcoat the pain at all.
Not even a little bit. The difference lies in understanding the mechanics of the pain.
The mechanics.
Yeah. Usually we view pain as a malfunction. It's an alarm bell.
Okay.
If you break your arm, the pain tells you something is wrong and you need to stop the pain to get back to normal. The goal is the cessation of suffering.
Right. You just want to go back to baseline. You want the fire alarm to turn off.
But labor pains aren't a malfunction.
Oh, I see where you're going.
The pain isn't an alarm bell signaling that the body's breaking down. The pain is the engine of creation.
Wow. The engine of creation.
Yeah, the anguish is actively doing work. Our source commentary explicitly points to the transformative nature of this experience.
Transformative.
Yes. Notice the phrasing Jesus used earlier. He didn't say, your sorrow will be replaced by joy.
Right. He said your sorrow will turn into joy.
Yes, it's emotional alchemy. The sorrow itself is the raw material.
That is so profound.
And the text explains this theologically for the disciples. It notes that their sorrow turns into lasting joy through the crucifixion and his subsequent resurrection, culminating in the outpouring of the Holy Spirit.
Right. The grand theological narrative.
But look at the psychological mechanism at play there.
Okay.
The very event that causes their deepest weeping, which is his death, is the exact same event that becomes the source of their greatest joy once the resurrection happens.
The cross is the labor pains.
Exactly. And the resurrection is the birth.
So it fundamentally changes your relationship with the suffering while you are inside of it.
Entirely.
Because, I mean, if I know my pain is a dead end, like a broken bone that isn't being set, I'm going to fall into despair.
Of course you are. It's pointless pain.
But if I understand the pain is productive, that it's labor, it is still completely agonizing, but it's not despair.
Right.
Because there is a destination.
That cognitive shift is everything. The text says once the baby is delivered, the woman no longer remembers the anguish because of the joy.
Which is wild to think about.
It's not an amnesia, though. It's that the joy so completely overwrites the trauma of the pain, because the pain was the necessary toll to achieve the joy.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting to me.
Let's hear it.
This brings us to what I think is the most challenging, but also the most fascinating claim in this entire text.
Okay.
And this isn't just about the disciples 2,000 years ago. The commentary is very clear that this mirrors our own experiences today.
Absolutely. It's
Like-
very applicable.
It talks about our setbacks, our despair, the moments where we feel like we are just in the dark.
Yeah.
Jesus gives this final promise in the passage. He says, so also you have sorrow now, but I will see you again, and your hearts will rejoice, and no one will take your joy from you.
No one will take your joy from you.
Right. And I have to be honest, playing devil's advocate here.
Please do.
When I am in the middle of a massive life crisis, like when I am in the labor pains, hearing that my joy is untakeable feels a little disconnected from reality.
I can see why you'd say that.
Think about it. If my company downsizes and I lose my job, my happiness is absolutely taken.
Oh, for sure.
If my car breaks down or a relationship ends or I can't pay my rent, I mean, the world takes my joy away all the time.
Right.
How is this not just an escape hatch, like a way to disengage from the real world?
I completely understand that skepticism. I really do. It sounds almost impossibly idealistic.
It really does.
But that's only until we separate the modern concept of happiness from the ancient concept of joy being presented here.
Okay, break that down for me. What is the difference between the two in this framework?
Well, happiness is circumstantial. It's transactional. It is a response to external stimuli.
Like getting a raise.
Exactly.
Hmm.
You get a promotion, you feel happy. You get cut off in traffic, you feel angry.
Very true.
Because happiness is tethered to the world's economy. It is constantly vulnerable. The world holds your happiness hostage.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
If the world gives it, the world can take it away.
Right.
But the source text is outlining the architecture of a completely different state of being.
Joy.
Yes. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it asserts that God is the ultimate source of true and lasting joy, and that this joy can exist in the midst of trials.
In the midst of them, not after them.
Exactly. It's not an escape hatch, it's an anchor.
An anchor, meaning you are still in the storm, but you aren't being swept out to sea.
Precisely. Let's translate this to a universal psychological level. If your core identity and your ultimate sense of purpose are anchored to something untouchable, in the text's case, the divine plan and the presence of the Spirit, then the world can batter the ship, but it cannot move the anchor.
Wow.
The disciples were about to face intense persecution. Their earthly, circumstantial happiness was going to be stripped away in almost every conceivable manner.
Yeah, historically speaking, it did not go well for them physically.
Exactly. But Jesus is telling them that this underlying foundational joy is secured outside the world's jurisdiction.
Outside its jurisdiction.
Right. The world didn't issue it, so the world does not have the authority to revoke it.
That is a staggering paradigm shift. It really is.
It changes everything.
It completely redefines the human experience. It means you can be actively grieving, actively hurting, crying over a very real loss, and yet simultaneously possess an untakeable joy at your core.
Yes?
The two are no longer mutually exclusive.
No, they are.
You don't have to choose between being a joyful Puritan and being honest about your pain.
Which is incredibly countercultural today.
Oh, 100%.
We are constantly taught to avoid pain at all costs to preserve our fragile happiness. We numb it, we distract ourselves from it.
Scroll on our phones for hours.
Exactly. But this text suggests that leaning into the necessary sorrows of life, trusting the hidden architecture within them, is the actual pathway to becoming immune to circumstance.
Oh. All right, so we've looked at the jarring confusion of the disciples. We've broken down the mechanics of the childbirth metaphor where pain produces rather than just hurts.
Right.
And we've explored the difference between fragile happiness and anchored joy.
It's a lot to process.
It is, but I want to move this from theory into the reality of like a random Tuesday morning.
Always a good idea.
So what does this all mean? How do we actually live this out? Our source material concludes with a prayer, and I think it really bridges this gap between lofty theology and our daily grind.
And what's remarkable about that concluding prayer is how incredibly grounded it is.
Yes.
It doesn't shy away from the dirt and grit of life at all.
No, it is brutally honest. I'll read a piece of it. Please do.
It says, "This world may throw a lot upon us. We may have our plates full of hardships, disappointments, anguish, and sorrow. But you, O Lord, you are always there to carry us through."
It's beautiful.
It is. And I'm so drawn to that phrasing, plates full of hardships, disappointments, anguish, and sorrow.
It's very relatable.
It feels less like a metaphor and more like a literal description of some weeks, you know? It's like trying to tread water while someone on the shore just keeps tossing you lead weights.
It's a profound acknowledgement of our limited capacity.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now when you are the one treading water?
That's the million-dollar question.
The source text poses a reflection question that I want to direct straight to you.
Yeah.
It asks, when have you experienced a situation where initial sorrow turned into unexpected joy?
It's such a vital exercise to stop intellectualizing the text and actually mentally scan your own timeline.
Yes. Think about your own life for a second. Think about a time when the bottom completely fell out.
We've all had them. You were weeping? Maybe it felt like everyone else was just carrying on, oblivious to your pain, grabbing their morning coffee while your world was ending.
That asymmetrical grief again.
Exactly. You were in the agonizing, seemingly pointless labor of that trial, but then the situation evolved. Years passed.
Right.
And somehow, looking back, that exact period of crushing darkness produced a depth of empathy, or a boundary you finally learned to set, or a profound new relationship.
Yeah.
You literally cannot imagine your current strength without that past trauma.
And you wouldn't want to go through it again, obviously.
No, never. But you also wouldn't trade the joy it eventually gave birth to.
And your lived experience of that transition is exactly what validates the ancient theology we are discussing.
Wow, yes.
When the prayer in our text concludes, it uses this classic, beautiful imagery.
I love this part.
It says, "May we always live our days with this truth, that though our sorrows may last for the night, Our joy comes in the morning because your mercies are new every day.
Sorrows for the night, joy in the morning. But let's talk about that last part. Mercies are new every day.
Yeah.
Why daily? I mean, why not just ask for one giant supply of mercy to get through the whole ordeal, like a Costco bulk pack of mercy?
I love that. But it's because we only have the capacity for today's reality.
Right.
When we synthesize this entire message, the most compelling takeaway is that the text never asks for a life free of hardships.
It really doesn't.
It doesn't ask God to stop the lead weights from being thrown. It acknowledges the plates will be full.
So what's the strategy then?
The strategy for survival isn't a magical formula for avoiding pain. It is the daily reliance on those new everyday mercies.
Just enough for today.
Exactly. Yesterday's mercy was for yesterday's pain. It won't work for today.
You can't hoard it.
Exactly. It requires a daily posture of dependence. You trust that you will be carried through the darkness of this specific night, provided with just enough strength for this specific day, moving inevitably toward the morning joy.
Man,
Just like childbirth, you can't rush the process.
you really can't.
It takes time, it takes grueling endurance, and it requires trusting the mechanism even when the pain is blinding and you can't see the baby yet.
It is such a radically different way to walk through a Tuesday when everything is going wrong.
It changes everything.
You look at your full plate of disappointments, and instead of just sinking into despair, you reframe it.
Right.
You realize, okay, this is the night, and the night is a temporary state.
Yes.
The sorrow you are feeling isn't the final destination. It is the labor pain of whatever morning joy is currently being formed.
By viewing sorrow as a transformative vehicle, we reclaim the agency we so often lose when suffering hits.
Reclaiming agency, that's huge.
It is. We may not choose the trauma, but we change our posture. We shift from being helpless victims of random circumstance to active participants in a larger process of renewal.
Wow.
The foundational promise here is that the ultimate source of true joy hasn't abandoned that process, even when it hurts.
Well, we have covered some incredible ground today.
We really have.
We started in that upper room with the disciples, facing the jarring asymmetrical reality of grieving while the world celebrates.
Yeah.
We broke down the vital difference between a pain that merely hurts and a pain that produces, using the profound mechanics of childbirth.
The engine of creation.
Exactly. And finally, we explored how an anchored, untakeable joy allows us to tread water in the dark, relying on daily mercies until the morning comes.
It's a powerful framework.
Before we go, I want to leave you with one final thought to ponder, building right off everything we've unpacked.
Okay.
The scripture was so intentional with its verbs. It didn't say that your sorrow will be tossed out and replaced by a shiny new joy. It said your sorrow will turn into joy.
Transformative.
So think about the very specific anguish, the heavy lead weight, or the frustrating obstacle you are dealing with right now. What if that exact challenge, the thing keeping you up at night, the thing you are begging to have removed from your plate, isn't actually a roadblock to your future happiness?
Wow.
What if it is the exact necessary raw material required to build your lasting joy?
That's something to think about.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Take some time today to reflect on those moments of unexpected joy in your own life, and we will see you next time.